Oh, look at this little boy.
Is it-
Ooh.
Andrew, come do the pledge.
Come do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to come do the pledge, you're welcome to.
Absolutely.
Scared of the death.
Stand right here. When he calls the meeting to order, then he'll tell you to start, okay?
Would everyone please stand for our pledge of allegiance to our nation's flag? Go ahead, fellas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, fellas. Roll call, please.
Okay. Heidi,
Here.
Clinker, Nargi. Here. Reynolds.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Allersmeyer.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Downing.
Here.
Campbell.
Thank you.
Quorum
Here.
present.
I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules of the Common Council for a public hearing on ordinance 2019-22.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Move. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. We are now in recess for the purpose of a public hearing. Is there any comments by members of the public? There being none, Mr. Downing?
Move to re-adjourn.
For
Or
reconvene.
reconvene. I'll get it.
Okay. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Approval of the minutes. Regular meeting, August the 6th, 2019.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the 6th already?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was the 5th. Today's the 3rd. So,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
thank you. Wow.
I just need a motion.
You
to
have
approve.
received those minutes. Are there any corrections for them? There being none, we'll go on. Thank you very much. Presentation and disposal of,
We ought to have a motion to approve them.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
good. Thank you.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Presentation and disposal of claims.
There are none.
Presentation of petitions and communications.
There are none.
Reports of the city council. These reports are in the clerk's office for your examination at any time that you'd like to look at them during business hours.
Waterworks Department monthly July, Renewed Department monthly July, Fleet Maintenance monthly July, Lafayette Police Department 2018 annual report and monthly July.
Thank you. There are no ordinances for second reading. We will have the first ordinance for first reading, an ordinance vacating a public alley and utility easement in the city of Lafayette, Indiana. That's ordinance 2019-22.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
President, I move to hear and approve ordinance 2019-22.
Mrs. Nargi?
I second it.
Thank you. Any comments by members of the Common Council?
Thank you.
Members of the audience wish to address this particular ordinance?
Thank you.
Yes, I would, Mr. Campbell. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Teeter, attorney with Riley, Teeter and Schreier. I represent the petitioner. John Schuman through Tippecanoe Development 2 is the petitioner, as well as the developer. They own lots 1 through 18 in O'Farrell Park subdivision. This is a vacant tract of ground. It's bordered on the south by Ferry, on the north by Caisson, on the east by 30th Street, and on the west by a large commercial building. The 12-foot alley is on the north of lots 2 through 9. This is all in your packet. There's a layout of that. The alley was shown in the original plat of O'Farrell in 1922. The utility easement was shown on the Vester plat in 1992. I'm going to estimate that over 10 years ago, Denny's Excavating came in and raised the hospital, then did a number of other raising of buildings as well. There was a few houses left on this site, and they raised those. Other than that, the only thing on this site, there's no alley, there's no remnants of any alley. The only thing on this site is 2 or 3 Duke Energy telephone or utility poles, and my client has met with Duke, and they've all agreed to move those utility poles so we can perform what we'd like to do for the future for this site. The utility easement was never used by the city. We talked to the engineer's office. Engineer's office says they don't want it, they don't need it, they want it to go away. It's petitioner's intent to build 4 apartment buildings on this site, and that's the handout that I gave you. One will be a 3-story with 24 units, 1 bedrooms. One will be a 3-story with 24 units and 2 bedrooms. The other 2 buildings will be 2 stories with 12 units each, and they will also have garages with them. My client has done other developments in this area. They have all been very successful, in my opinion. I think the city has supported us. We've tried to reciprocate with that. I think they've done a good job. So with that, we believe there's no one objecting to it in the neighborhood, and we would respectfully request your approval. I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Any questions of this gentleman? Thank you. Members of the audience, do you have any questions of this gentleman concerning this particular rezone? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-22?
Heidi?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2019-23. I think we'll set a public hearing for this ordinance
Okay.
for 6:31 on October the 7th.
So moved.
So moved?
Second.
Second?
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll go. Ordinance 2019-23, an ordinance to vacate a portion of an easement in Twickenham Commercial Subdivision.
Any comments by members of the audience?
Mr. President, I move we hear and approve ordinance 2019-23.
Thank you.
Second.
Members of the audience?
Members of the council, I'm Joe Bumbleberg with Ball Eggleston. I represent the petitioners in this matter. This is the site of the Allure Dental Office. You have received in your packet several surveys and aerial photographs. What we are doing here is literally replacing a sewer pipe that runs in the way of an addition and replacing it in another location on this same lot so that the effect is that we get the sewer pipe out of the way of an extension that the doctors are going to place on their building. They want to add to their building. It would have been over the sewer pipe, which obviously is not a good idea. The sewer pipe is currently under construction and in the pending period, waiting for the tests that are required for making sure that it is working fine, which is, and the easement that we will be putting it in was drawn by Mr. Chosnick's office. It's been approved and signed by my clients, and it's in the hands of Mr. Griffey right now so that it doesn't get misplaced. The contractor, Spire, Pat is here with me this evening if you have technical questions, but really most of the engineering is done, the construction is all done, and what the two doctors are going to do is they're going to add about double the size of their current office building, 6 new rooms for treatment. They're going to remodel the current structure on the inside, add at least 3 more people to their staff, and they have been thinking about this for some time. The reason I know that is when he has his hands in my mouth, he tells me about it all the time. But in any event, what we plan to do is to ask you to approve it on first reading tonight, have a public hearing at the 7th of October meeting, and go for second reading at that time. And we hope at that point, all of the technical questions, like testing the pipe and that stuff, will be accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Bumble or members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-23?
Heidi,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown, Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Williamson,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2019-24.
We need to set a public hearing on,
We did earlier.
Yeah.
okay,
We did it before.
okay. For this one?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
okay.
Ordinance 2019-24, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe
Make that
County.
25, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we're here.
No, 24.
Okay.
Tippecanoe County, Indiana, to rezone certain real estate from R1U to NBU 808 Wabash Avenue, Habitat for Humanity petitioner.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. President, I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2019-24.
Second?
Mrs. Nelson, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. President, I second that.
Oh, it was seconded.
Oh, well, okay, I didn't miss that.
Good evening again. We
Go ahead.
Okay. Dan Teeter for the record, Riley Teeter and Schreier represent the petitioner. Stephanie Bible is present. Stephanie is the petitioner's representative, and she'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. We received a favorable staff report on this, unanimous yes vote from the Area Plan Commission. The vote was 12 yes to 0 no. Habitat has acquired funding with grants from Wabash River Enhancement and Veteran Foundation to improve the property at 808 Wabash Avenue. Presently, the site just has some bench seating on the east side. The rest of the lot is vacant, partially gravel, doesn't look real good. The parking is going to serve as a parking lot slash maybe a park as well a little bit. You can see the hand that I gave you, that's what it intends to be look like, will look like when it's completed. This is for Sacred Grounds Reclaimed Coffee Shop and Harvest Chapel Church. The church is located at the corner of Ellsworth and Wabash Avenue, and they are the owner of the property. Habitat has determined that, does not own the property, but part of their mission is neighborhood revitalization, and obviously this works very well into their plans. So I think everybody's pleased with what's going to be happening down there. We review these plans with the city engineer's office. They support our request, have no objections from any of the property owners. I think everybody's enthusiastic about what's going to come and how it's going to look. And with that, I'd ask for your favorable approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of this gentleman? There being none, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Any comments by members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-24?
Heidi,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown, Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Williamson,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ordinance 2019-25.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana to rezone certain real estate from NB to R1U 2049 Cassuth Street. Alec Williams petitioner.
Hey,
What's
good
the
evening,
pleasure
council.
of the
Oh, sorry.
What's the pleasure of the council, Mr. Downing?
I move to hear and approve ordinance 2019-25.
Mrs. Nargi?
Second?
Moved and seconded.
Okay.
We then, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Alec Williams. Obviously, I'm a little nervous, and no one told me the mayor would be here to watch my back.
Don't worry, word.
Don't worry about him? Okay. My name is Alec Williams. I live at 1007 Elliott Street in Lafayette, Indiana, and what I'm asking today is to rezone a property at 2049 Cassuth Street from NB to R1U. My wife and I own a small company here in town called the Heartland Concept, where we renovate homes. And this is purely a proactive look at once we fix this house up and get it back to sparkling condition, we look to resell it, and we're hoping to proactively look at that for an R1U status so that a family can buy that property without looking at the zoning issue. The owners I've been working with very closely currently, as I'm the petitioner. They were unaware of the current zone, and so we just started the process a few months back, trying to get this taken care of. At the Area Planning Commission, we had a meeting and passed anonymously at 12-0. We look for your favorable recommendation as well, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for this gentleman?
So already was a single-family dwelling, that's what it was, but they just didn't know it was zoned the other way until
That's
they get ready to
correct.
sell it?
That's correct. It was
Yeah.
never used as a business or
Never
anything like
used as a
that.
business.
It was a
No.
compliance issue, I think.
Is it? Okay.
Well, so you could be compliant with what it was supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know it's nestled within a couple of businesses over
Yeah.
there, but nope, never used as a business or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we won't be changing the footprint, the exterior at all. It's in great condition. We'll just be doing cosmetics on the inside.
What's right across the street from it on across Cassuth?
Yeah, across the street was, it's an auto body, or an auto supply company. I believe that they have since moved. I'm not sure what it will be in the future. I know that the owner's looking at possibly selling it, renting it, not sure yet. And Dywert Insurance Agency is to the east, and then it's a real estate company to the west. And behind us, I believe, was a dentist office, but I'm not sure they're still in there. So,
Okay, thank
yep,
you.
yeah.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
No.
Any questions or comments by members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-25?
Heidi?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown? Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Ordinance 2019-26.
An ordinance adding new section 3.01.1, or .180, building permit conflict of interest to the Lafayette Municipal Code.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mrs. Alsmeyer?
Mr. President, I move we hear and approve ordinance 2019-26.
Second.
Second. Okay. We're gonna have to get one of those buzzers, I see.
You can hit it fastest.
Mr. Campbell, I can speak to this ordinance. I can speak to this ordinance if you
Sure, if you'd
would
like.
like. Okay. The legislature adopted this year a statute that requires all governmental entities that have building inspectors to have a conflict of interest statute and ordinance. And what we did is we got together with Tippecanoe County and West Lafayette because they also have to have it. So we have a similar ordinance that they're also going to adopt, and we also have an interlocal agreement so that whenever one of our building inspectors might have a conflict on a property he's going to inspect, then it gets assigned to either one of the Tippecanoe County building inspectors or West Lafayette building inspector and vice versa. And so this adopts the ordinance that's required by statute plus the interlocal agreement that allows us to use our neighboring building inspectors if there is ever a conflict. That simple. Whether it'll ever be needed, I don't know, but it's there.
Any questions of Mr. Chosnick? Thank you. Any members of the audience that wish to address this particular ordinance? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on
Mr.
ordinance 2?
Oh, I think we got somebody.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, I have some.
Can you come up to the microphone?
Come on up.
Okay, this is my first time doing this, so,
Just state your name and address.
my name's Carrie Nusky. I live at 3148 Eagles Way Drive.
Are you making comments regarding this particular ordinance?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Oh, okay. We'll get you in a few minutes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Welcome to public comment.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Well, we took care of that lady. Any questions or comments
Okay.
for Mr. Chosnick? Thank you. Would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote, please?
Heidi?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown? Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. We'll now consider resolutions, and for the scouts in the audience, resolutions do not require 2 readings as the ordinances do. I don't know why, but somebody's made that rule. So if the clerk would then read Resolution 2019-45.
A resolution declaring the designation of certain real estate as an economic revitalization area, ERA, and approving the application for property tax abatement, ASW Real Estate, LLC Real Estate.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. President, I move we hear and approve Resolution 2019-15.
Second.
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, we have the resolution before you that we just read in regards to a new economic development opportunity here in our community that we're certainly very pleased to have. We have an opportunity for a business to relocate here to Lafayette, and the business will maintain the current number of employees at 28 and add 4 new employees. It's a great use of a property that we discussed at caucus just a little bit, the old Cassini Tile location up on Earl Avenue, and they do some really neat engineering and manufacturing with this new company. Andrew Wilcox, who is the owner of that company, is here this evening, so I'm not going to steal any of his thunder, but I did want to ask for your support. Again, this is a good use of that property. These are good paying jobs, and this really is a win-win for us, for the neighborhood, and for this company. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Wilcox. It will give you a short presentation on what his company does and a little bit about this investment in our community.
Wilcox.
Andy?
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Andrew Wilcox, and I am the owner of Engineering and Industrial Services, which is in Logansport. That's the name of the business. And then the company that owns the real estate, I'm also the owner of that, is ASW Real Estate, LLC. So if there's any confusion there, there are 2 companies involved. One's the real estate, one is the operating business. We design and build manufacturing machinery, like for manufacturing. So we don't actually do production work. We actually design and build machines that will do production work. So the main 2 areas that we focus on are automotive seals. These are rubber strips around the door and window in your car. We supply complete lines to manufacture that part for automotive, mainly Tier 1 automotive suppliers. And we also make parts washing equipment. These are for cleaning parts in production. So there's a wide variety of customers. These are not one specific industry. So it's a lot of automotive, but it's not just automotive. There are many other uses for this too. So we honestly do not supply a lot of local companies. Our business is worldwide, so we export usually between 30–40% of our sales every year. The rest are around mostly the Midwest, but all around the U.S. We do have 28 current employees, and we've been in Logansport for almost 40 years. The business was started in 1980, and I bought the business about 4.5 years ago. And we are out of space. We're growing, and honestly, the building, besides the footprint, is not ideal for us either. We did find the Cassini building, and it's really an ideal fit for us. It's going to give us some room to grow in the future. We do have a number of engineers. We currently have 7 on staff, and the rest of the positions are skilled trades. So these are machinists, electricians, fabricators, those type of positions. And these are not production either. These are all custom work. So these tend to be very high skill level positions. So part of the reason we want to come here is for obviously the building, but it also just employees, finding a better pool of for our workforce, a higher skill. And I think being near Purdue, we're excited about the new vocational school. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, for us here to grow our workforce. So that's, I guess, it in a nutshell. Be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions of this gentleman?
I just have one. Now, you said that you're moving your production here.
Correct.
Are you bringing your employees with you, or are you just going to get folks from around here?
It's going to be a mixture. Most of our employees, well, we're losing some of our employees. Some of them live in Lafayette already. Some of them live on the other side in Peru or, Wabash. So we are losing some of those employees. Some of them, I think, will probably start and then decide they don't like to drive that far. So I am anticipating losing some more. But we will be making some new hires. The 4 additional positions is for an expansion. That's for a new product line as well. So those would all be new positions here. But I think over time, most of the employees that do live, further away in Logansport or farther, will probably not continue. That's our belief. So.
Well, thanks for considering our town.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
No, it's going to be a great improvement, I think, what we have there. Yeah. Are you taking the whole, it's a triangle lot, right?
Correct.
And you got the whole thing?
Yes, and there's actually 2 buildings on that lot. There's the original building on Earl, and there's a larger building behind it that was built in 2006. So most of the renovation would be on the original building on Earl, as well as a few things in the larger building behind it.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions from the audience? Then would the clerk conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 219-15?
Heidi?
Wait a minute, what are we doing here?
Voting on the resolution.
Resolution 2019-15.
Right, good.
Mr. Heidi?
Fine.
Nargi? Aye. Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Now we need to say.
Now, that will be a public hearing, and we take a motion to suspend the rules for a moment and have a public hearing for that on the 7th of October at 6:33 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Thank you. Let's try
Standing committees, maybe?
public, oh, you don't want this?
We can do that after we go through
Oh,
those.
okay, good. Reports of standing committees. Reports of special committees. Reports by the mayor.
No, sir.
Miscellaneous and new business. Reports by councilmen.
Now we'll set that public hearing.
Okay, public hearing on ordinance
Yeah,
219,
or just for a proposed local income tax ordinance
proposed income tax ordinance
on October the 7th.
on October the 7th. What's the matter?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Perry? Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Perfect.
And then the other public hearing will be on, with the GLPTC budget for October the 10th at 5 o'clock. What's the pleasure of the council?
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Public comment. Where's that young lady?
Out your turn.
This is, she sent this one.
Okay.
Hello, sorry about the confusion earlier. Again, my name's Carrie Nusky. I've lived in Lafayette for going on 5 years now. I live at 3148 Eagles Way Drive, and I'm here to talk to the council today about a solution to a public housing insecurity concern as a concerned neighbor and as someone who is also affected by the issue. RentJungle.com shows that since 2015, the cost of rent has gone up 19.5%. In 2015, a one-bedroom apartment was $567, and in April of 2019, a one-bedroom apartment cost $678. The average annual salary of a Lafayette resident is $21,431, equivalent to $11 an hour as a wage. The average resident spends 37% of their income on rents when federal standards advise spending no more than 30% of one's income on rent. With the $7.25 minimum wage, many residents spend 50% or more of their income on rent. To even qualify for housing, property owners want tenants to make 2/3 more than the cost of their rent, yet with the average $11 per hour salary, this is nearly impossible. And there's no sign that rent is getting cheaper. At this current moment, apartmentfinder.com lists a one-bedroom apartment for $760. That is $215 more than what the average Lafayette resident can afford based on the average $11 per hour salary. To spend 30% or less of one's monthly income for a one-bedroom apartment, rent must not exceed $545 per month based on that average $11 per hour salary. Our neighborhood scenario is not isolated to just us here in Lafayette, as this is an issue that is affecting millions of cost-burdened families across the United States who forego water, heat, food, and medical in order to pay rent. So what alternatives are there? Several cities in New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, Oregon, and California have passed rent control ordinances regulating the cost of rent. The city determines what that cost should be based on the average income of their residents in the region and then mandates property owners to comply. Many of Lafayette's property owners are not even local, and they're setting prices that do not match the average salary of our residents. Rent control could alleviate this problem like it has in other cities. The benefits of rent control increase housing security and stability and provide relief for families. The downside of rent control is that when it is implemented too late, it often does not decrease the prices of rent, rather freezes them at their current cost. This downside can be seen in cities who pass rent control ordinances once a one-bedroom apartment reaches $3,000. Lafayette does not need to wait till a one-bedroom apartment reaches $3,000 to pass a rent control ordinance. We can implement rent control at any point. Implications for not regulating rent costs are astronomical. If in another 5 years, rent prices continue to raise another 20%, a one-bedroom apartment will cost $900. Lafayette is on track for this to occur as property owners continue raising prices in tandem and renovating apartments and building luxury ones instead of quality, low-income housing options. Those who cannot afford the rising costs find themselves homeless, and our support systems cannot absorb the great number of needy families. This weekend I spoke to Lafayette Housing Authority, and they said they have over 800 families here in Lafayette on the Section 8 wait list. And I also spoke to Lafayette Urban Ministries this weekend, and they said they declare there are 1,200 housing insecure families in our neighborhood. We must act now to help the already cost-burdened families in Lafayette and prevent massive rent increases and homelessness in the future. We can't let rent continue to rise. We can only do this if we pass a rent control ordinance regulating rent prices that match the average income of our residents. Thank you. I forgot one more thing to add. There were a couple of other people that wanted to speak tonight, but because of fear of their landlords retaliating and the current condition of their health based on their housing, they chose not to appear tonight. So there were others that wanted to speak tonight, but one of them is also here to speak to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I also live.
Your
at-
name and
Identify
address, please.
yourself, please.
Pardon me?
Would you identify yourself so we...
My name is Alma Gibson, and I live at 3122 Eagles Way Drive.
Thank you.
I am at retirement age, and I still work because I couldn't, if I didn't work, in order to live in a place where I would feel safe, I couldn't afford it. I'm already budgeting, with what I make and everything, and I would like to retire someday, but I'm still working. And I know a lot of people are in my shoes and stuff, but we put up with a lot of stuff in some of the apartments that, I don't know, I really don't want to pinpoint any apartments or anything, but I would like to retire and be able to live comfortably. So, thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, are there any other communities that are involved in rent fixing, or if that's the right word?
Are there any in Indiana?
So I spoke with a couple of different places locally, including LUM, Transitional Housing, Lafayette Housing Authority, Family Promise, Bauer, a couple of different places in town to see if they even have a housing task force. And all of them said, currently we do not. What we do have in the city is Section 8, but with the 800 families on that wait list, it's really hard for us to serve those families. And some of the other people that wanted to be here tonight, they are HUD recipients, and they have housing where they've gotten very sick there, and they weren't able to find another place to move because the rent prices are $100 to $200 more than HUD will pay for them to find another house. So even Lafayette Housing Authority said that more needs to be done, because with the raising costs of rent, they can't even supply the people that they currently have in houses with houses that can keep up with their needs. So,
Thank you, Carrie.
yeah.
I think this would be sent to a committee, and I'll sit down with the mayor, and we'll decide what we want to do. It has some wide-reaching effects to go into fixing rents and setting the prices up. But we will do that, and let me see what we've got here.
Mr. President, to Mr. Mayor, don't we have basically a market rate base that we operate on now? I mean, I don't know that but I know under new construction, when they're put up, we use what we call a market-based rent. I've seen that done at city council, or at APC on different issues.
There's a market rent, but there's also, there's a new low-income
Right.
housing complex going up right now. It's
Sure.
about 350 units that's going up. So, I mean, there is a mixture of that and
Right.
tax credit project. So it's a little bit of.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought there was a little bit of everything involved, yes.
Let's see.
Are there any rent control cities in Indiana?
In
To
Indiana-
look at how this works and what they do.
There aren't any that I know of currently in Indiana. They're mostly on the two coasts, so New York, California, Massachusetts, Oregon, Maryland. And the reason for that being is because people will tolerate it until it becomes an astronomical amount, like a $3,000 apartment. But that doesn't mean we can't see the predicting of the times and the way that our rent has risen, like I said, 19.5% since 2015. If anyone would like me to come back and present more on this, do a full presentation with the statistics conducted by the Tippecanoe County with our charting and things like that, I would be more than happy to provide that for you. All I have right here is just something I typed out, which is, there's no charts or pictures on it, but yes, the rent prices are going to get higher, and we can see that by looking at the developments that are going in. Like we've heard tonight already, they are putting in more units, but there's like maybe, I don't know, 200 families that can get in. We have 800 families waiting for Section 8. We have 1,200 housing insecure families declared by Lafayette Urban Ministries. So unless minimum wage goes up, unless we can get the average salary of Lafayette residents to go up, that's not likely to change, but rent control doesn't require those things to change to be able to help people stay in their homes. It's actually cheaper to help people stay in a low-income housing than to evict people and have them rely on sources in the community to provide housing for them. So, just a little on
Any
that.
questions of this young lady? I think that probably public health, welfare, and safety, Mrs. Alsmeyer, if you would get with the mayor and talk this over and decide if that's the way we should go and make some decision there. I congratulate you for what you have done, and it's a very worthwhile goal that you're working toward. And I don't know if we are ready for that, but we'll find out in the next month or two. Okay? Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments by members of the audience? Mr. Heidi?
I move to adjourn, Mr. Campbell.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much.
Very good.
That's a headache.